Cloud9's Academy AD carry Tomo. So I've actually seen Cassio into Aphelios a couple of times already, and I was thinking like Zven, not always known for his mages, has not played at this split, but that Cassio I think was a flex the whole way down, and actually they've decided that they'll just take it here, even after the Aphelios bait didn't work.
Yeah, very interesting stuff. So the Aphelios won't be the pick. It will be that Kaisa. Zven, though, is going to be on this Cassiopeia. As far as late game damage, they are pretty magic damage focused with the Cassio and the Zoe, but obviously, you have the Lee Sin, you have the Sett to try to balance things out a bit so that the team can't just completely ignore physical damage and build things like early Hex Triggers. I'm going to be really interested to see how Cloud9 does play this out. Generally speaking, their bot lane has really been a strength where they can get priority. Sometimes they do play weak side and play this Ezreal Yuumi style. This feels more like that. You can have some really powerful all-ins on the Cassio, but Cassio does struggle with mana early on, and it's more of something where you need some items before you can really trade a lot, because while you do have a ton of upfront damage, when you land the Q and you're spamming out those Twin Fangs, you go out of mana very, very quickly. So you've got to manage your mana. I think this is going to be more of a farm lane for them down on that bottom side, and we'll see what they can get done elsewhere, utilizing some of the more early power picks like the Lee Sin, like the Sett, to try to look for those 2v2s.
Yeah, and I think certainly eyes on Nisqy here. Already we heard some banter between them in the teas coming into this matchup, but this draft, like the way they handled this draft, got Nisqy Zoe. That's basically the end result. I think there was an opportunity to maybe take Aphelios there if they wanted it, but the counterpick they ended up getting by flexing this Cassio is this Zoe here for Nisqy. So if you're counterpicking something like TF, which you knew that TL were going to be happy to play in almost any situation here, this is a game where Nisqy, especially when Blaber doesn't have the aggressive edge in his jungle matchup, I think Graves certainly is feeling comfortable there, if not advantaged. It's not that Nisqy never does anything. He does a lot for this team, but he's often the second one in when Blaber is the first. Now I think this game is a little bit more on Nisqy being proactive for the team on a pick like Zoe, which certainly can open up a game. But I'm very curious to see how this plays out, because this is a very particular draft from Cloud9.
Yeah, it is. I do think especially post-6, Blaber can be that first one in, looking to make plays. I think the highlight play of Spring was his Lee Sin kick. We saw in the base, we've seen him have some pretty insane mechanics on this champion. Yes, he has been more reliant on the Olaf so far this split, but it's obviously not that he can't play the other champions. It's more just that he feels like that is the strongest one in this current meta. So I'm going to be interested to see how it does work out, and I kind of have more eyes on this bottom lane. How is Zven going to perform on the mage? How are they going to be able to perform in this 2v2 where you have to be fairly passive early on? Cassio can get pressured, and especially when you're playing against TF, there's always the worry of those plays where you lose control of that bottom lane, where you get set up on, where there's a 4-man dive happening. Cassio pre-6 doesn't have a lot of ways to really kind of keep herself safe if you are getting a lot of jungle attention against something like a Nautilus, who can set up so well for those junglers, set up so well for the TF.
Yep, and unlike, say mid lane, where you would have the option maybe of taking Cleanse, Zven's taking TP here, which I think he almost feels like he has to when you're playing this mage bot lane, so doesn't have that option to get out. Certainly will have a bit of extra safety from Vulcan's Lantern, but we'll see how it all plays out. I know Crumbs' most common criticism of Lee Sin is that they don't kick people enough. Whereas in the LPL, that's all they do is find flash kicks on people. I think Crumbs can at least be rest assured that if there's any player in the LCS that will use kick as often as he can, it will be Blaber.
Yeah, Blaber's definitely going to make something happen. You can count on him looking for fights nonstop. And I think a large reason that Zven is actually playing the TP is due to some of the mana issues that I talked about early on. You don't want to get stuck in an extended lane where you run out of mana, you get pressured there, and then you're kind of stuck under your turret trying to farm with no mana. That can be pretty difficult for Cassio, especially when you are starting this Sapphire Crystal. It's very easy to get to a quick tier and then look for a base on that. We can see C9 is trying to move towards the scuttle, but Jensen, nice little sidestep.
Really good movement overall. He's going to stun up Nisqy as well, get a little bit of a trade back. Paddlestar does connect, but it's Spellbook versus Spellbook here in mid, becoming increasingly the keystone of choice for almost all mid laners, so nothing aggressive. As some moments are exchanged, which I do appreciate very much.
Yeah, I like Jensen's confidence, right? He is an incredible player, and despite the fact that Nisqy had a better spring split, I think that is hard to debate. I think Jensen was still a strong player for TL in spring, despite their poor showing overall. And some of the nice little movements there he had, sidestepping some of those abilities, is kind of one of the things that Jensen was so well known for. He's so good at these little miniature sidesteps and avoiding skill shots, and the pressure that he exerted onto Blaber and Nisqy there delayed them from actually getting down and actually stopping Broxah from grabbing Scuttle on the bottom side. So it's these small things can make a big difference.
I also like that, as you say, that Nisqy bubbles him and then puts up the sad B as he lands the follow-up battle star. So certainly, again, there is pressure here for TF. This mid lane matchup will be fun to watch all game long, but certainly eyes around the rest of the map as well. So far, so good in pretty much all the lanes. Licorice actually has a very big lead, 1v1.
Yep, already more than 2 waves up on Impact, and that is pretty concerning. Yes, Sett can have some of those really beneficial trades. It's really down to the Aatrox of, like, can you actually hit the sweet spots? Can you get yourself in a situation where you're keeping Sett at range and landing multiple Qs in a row? If you can do that, then it can go okay for you. But if Sett can kind of get inside those sweet spots of the first 2 Qs, land those autos into the auto resets with the Q, you really do win those trades pretty heavily in the early stages.
Yep, as you can see, this is going to delay the base a little bit there for Vulcan, as Zven is finally going to go back and get much needed mana, as you mentioned earlier. Has the tier and an extra Sapphire Crystal now alongside the Dark Seal.
Yep.
So yep. Be feeling a lot better.
Yeah, I mean, he has a really nice base there because he was sitting on the Sapphire Crystal refillable, so he bought a full tier plus that Dark Seal. This is a lot of mana to work with now for Zven. He is playing Conqueror, so it is more about those extended trades, expecting him to be playing Presence of Mind there too. So, grabbing those kills and assists actually makes a really big difference. And he will be just trying to stack up this tier early and often. As for Cassio, once you have that Seraph's complete, once you get that transform, you can get a lot more aggressive. You really do kind of need that shield as a safety net, especially when you're not playing a defensive summoner and you are kind of more this mid-range style champion, playing against a lot of champions who, when you're attacking, you're going to be in their range of threat. If you're stepping forward and you get gold carded or hooked by CoreJJ, that can be very, very dangerous. So will be key to get that Seraph's done early.
Nice early dragon as well from Cloud9. Just take the Infernal off the map. They are always on top of their objective control. One of the benefits of having a jungle like Blaber, especially when he's playing something like Olaf, is it just feels like the dragons don't go any other way. Zven and Vulcan also are going to get the lane pushed in, and they've evened the farm up that once was ahead for Tactical. But a pretty quiet early game here, which we're expecting between these two teams. Cloud9 have certainly let off wildly aggressive early games, except when openings are presented to them, but I do expect the pace to pick up. That's, I think, the hardest thing to currently match Cloud9 with right now, is that once they start picking up the pace, they do not relent off the gas.
Yeah, I've got to say, I'm a little bit surprised, actually, with how patient Cloud9 has been. I do think given the drafts, that you can expect a bit more of kind of that patient play, of a little bit of a slower game, but, Cloud9, it's funny to say, but by 7 minutes, they're often significantly ahead, right? They're often clearly in the lead, and this has just been a bit of a farm game with TL out to a slight gold lead. So I think Team Liquid is going to be feeling pretty good about their situation early on. Jensen is now 6, so they can start to have the Graves look for invades, knowing that you have the support of this TF. That allows Broxah a little bit more agency to try to invade. Bot lane has pressure, so they're going to move in and try to take away this blue buff, and we'll see if Cloud9 can get anything back on that top side to make it a bit more of an even trade.
Blue buff successfully stolen by Broxah, but we'll see if the Rift Herald, which isn't even up yet, so don't worry about that. Still have to wait, as Blaber is just going to counter invade the blue, so he's going to keep up on camps. Fortunately for the mid laners, it means that neither of them are getting blue right now, but I don't think they'll be too worried. These aren't massively mana-intensive champions.
No, it's not too bad at this point for them. We can see that Jensen is actually going towards the Rod of Ages. I actually really like this build. Yes, sometimes people do opt for kind of the squishier CDR rush style of builds. Rod of Ages into Zhonya's is kind of the fighting build, as I like to look at it. It allows you enough HP plus the stasis to really kind of use that ultimate aggressively, and it does allow him to really look to kind of function as one of the members that can engage for TL. So gonna be interested to see when he actually gets out and uses that first ultimate, because I do think that they want to be proactive about this and try to attack these side lanes as much as they can.
Yeah, Nisqy running back to base with heal actually alongside his clan, so swapped something over from the spellbook already. So maybe anticipating a fight coming up. TP back in from Licorice though. In fact, actually had a very nice trade onto him, but Licorice is going to TP back nice and safe, as Blaber will scout out the Rift Herald that has been started by TL. Q landing on to Jensen. Blaber is level 6 here. Nisqy found a GLP on the ground as well. He's going to slow down Broxah. Oh, into the bubble. Could be a rough time. Ulti to get himself away. Blaber instantly flashes over. Licorice so can't quite combo it. And here comes Impact for Blaber. He finds it. First blood, he will die. The knockup from Impact is going to make sure of it. The flash up for Nisqy's going to get him out, but Licorice can't get out here, and I think they'll just fight instead. The cleanse is going to be popped. They're going to get the ulti in onto Impact, but Nisqy can't actually chase in. Gets the ulti back down. The flash needs to be used, but Impact is actually able to take him down. The Haymaker, really nice as Jensen has controlled this fight wonderfully alongside his top laner, and Licorice is just dead now. TL, they turn it around.
Very well fought there by TL. They had the answer with the TF coming up towards the top side, and C9 getting really, really aggressive. I just don't think that they needed to hard commit onto Broxah there. They had already essentially won the fight around the Rift Herald. The Rift Herald was very low, and they pushed Broxah out. So you could actually just take this Rift Herald pretty much for free at this point. You know, Nisqy is able to grab that Hextech GLP. He goes in, lands the slow. When this sleep actually lands, the Rift Herald is yours. Look how low it is. That's like a Q smite, and the Rift Herald is already dead. Instead, they're flashing into the turret, trying to take it down. Blaber takes multiple turret shots, he falls, and C9, are in a potential winning 2v2, but they're in such an awkward spot around this turret that it makes it pretty difficult to fight it out. And Nisqy is having to try to fight through the TF, who is maximizing damage on him to try to get over and finish off Impact. And then Licorice here, knowing he's going to get kited out by the TF, decides to just try to go for that trade kill on Impact, not able to get it, and Team Liquid in a commanding position off of that. They even came back out, grabbed the Rift Herald, so this is going to be a first turret take up on this top side here, and Team Liquid is going to be significantly ahead.
You're up at 1,000 gold already, and that's without the extra tower gold that is about to be cashed in as the Herald is dropped. We'll need a couple more hits now, and that is going to be almost enough to get it down. Just half a plate left to try and take away, and more than enough time and damage here for Team Liquid to take the first tower in top lane, collect the maximum amount of plates off of the objective, and all of a sudden that gold lead is up to almost 2,500. Vulcan straight into Impact, he blast cones in. Drake is going to go over Impact, is going to get ultied up by the Thresh. Into the box, he gets hooked. Here comes Nisqy as well. Impact maybe will think twice about looking for this challenge here, as Blaber's just going to kick him. Q lands in, and that's an easy shutdown for Blaber.
A little bit silly there from Impact. You already got the turret on the top side for free. Why are you checking by yourself in that position? I think Impact kind of, really just losing track of his position in this game at that point, and gives over a free shutdown. So Cloud9 going to be able to grab a little bit of gold. Licorice trying to defend this turret as well.
Flash hook not landing, but that's a nice ult from Licorice. Gonna put CoreJJ back into the tower and force the heal out of Tactical as well. And Licorice gives him the thumbs up as Nisqy's dabbing away to safety. Jensen getting the chase on, but the Dragon finally gonna fall over to Cloud9 as they do pick up a 2-0 lead on that objective.
That is very good for them, and they do have good scaling, but I tend to favor the composition, I think, that TL has later on in the game. It's going to really come down to how well Zven can perform. He's kind of the main source of scaling, and in general, it's easier, I think, in these compositions to itemize effectively against some of the magic damage that's coming out of Cloud9 than it is to itemize against some of the damage coming out on the other side from TL, right? When you have Zoe, it's easy to go into things like QSS or a Hex Drinker and be very effective against both Zven and Nisqy. I don't think there's the same easy options for all of the players over on Cloud9. So they are going to have to play it out well. TL having a fantastic early game. This is really the most that I think Cloud9 has been challenged. We saw FlyQuest was able to win some fights early against Cloud9, but they were never really able to secure the gold lead. The one thing that TL does have to really worry about, though, is those stacking dragons. They want to try to put an end to it. It is going to be an Ocean Soul, which is, oftentimes just straight up GG if you give that up. So TL is going to have to choose their moment. Whether it's going to be at 3 dragons or 4 is up to them. But, if you give the 3rd dragon over for free to Cloud9, then you're depending on Blaber just not even stealing one or a pick, not meaning you give it up at any point in the game. So I do want to see TL try to challenge at this next dragon.
Yeah, and even though the gold lead has diminished a little bit, it's only 1,000 gold up now for Team Liquid. Stakes are very high in this game. Not just tying for first for Team Liquid, but whoever is the first team to take down Cloud9, but get some sort of ceremony. Like, this team has looked unbeatable, even this early on to the summer split after having such a strong spring. So I think if nothing else, like, you just want to be the first.
Well, and especially when TL hasn't been getting that much credit for their 3-1 start, right? You know, a lot of people on the analyst desk saying that they were more in the pretender category. I think it was only Alorum thinking that they were maybe a real contender because they haven't had the strongest performances against good teams, right? They got trashed by EG. They did beat TSM, who hasn't looked that good. You know, there has been some questions about the strength of opponents in their victories, but this silences really all critics. If you can actually take down C9 as TL, you are very clearly a contender. You're going to be tied with them for first place. You're going to have beaten the clear #1 team in the league. So TL really want this win.
Jensen's ready, level 2. Nisqy's also here as well, though. CoreJJ with a very nice stopwatch, but the timing not quite there for Nisqy. It was close. Gold card. It's going to hit the Zoe, but that's an easy barrier picked up there as Nisqy even pokes Impact back a little more. This gives Licorice free time on the top lane to push the wave back out, and C9 will stay to take this tower and equalize the gold lead thereabouts.
Yep, going to be able to tie that up, and it's also very important that they actually got the ultimate out of Jensen. Remember, because you are going for this Roa build, you don't have a lot of early CDR, and that is going to mean that every time you get that TF ultimate down in the early stages, there is this big window of opportunity where you feel safe on the map, where you're able to get things done. So Nisqy made the first move, Jensen had to answer it, and as a result, they are going to be feeling pretty safe, but Nisqy could be in some trouble here as Broxah has the phase rush proc. He's going in.
Yep, pops the cleanse just for the speed. The ulti not there as Nisqy will just barely sidestep away.
No, I'm surprised he didn't drop an emote there. That would have been the perfect timing, you know, for a penguin dab, perhaps.
He does use that one a lot, especially in lane. Nisqy certainly on top of his mechanics, both in general gameplay and, more importantly, in emoting. Licorice is going to spot a ward and slap it down. Zven's going to briefly moonlight as a mid laner here, but we'll give that back over in short order. Is farming very nicely, of note. He's kind of been the only player not really involved in all the stuff that's been happening. The game's kind of happening around him as he's been farming. So 20 CS up. Like you said, he is kind of the insurance policy here for Cloud9. So it does need to make sure he's retaining a very high farm rate.
And he is. He's over 10 CS a minute already in the game. He's very close to his Leandries. He's stacking up that tier towards his Seraphs, his Archangels. Now, that is going to be looking really, really nice for them. And you can also see that Blaber is actually going the lethality route, so we'll be building towards very likely a Edge of Night. This does give you additional threat onto some of the squishy members. You know, if you can get back onto someone like Tactical, you can really look for those execute type kills. You know, if they get poked whatsoever by Nisqy, you could be seeing Blaber fly in and try to really punish on that. But 30 seconds until the Ocean Dragon, that is the key objective now. Cloud9 already got the first two. TL really has to put a stop to it. And that is why Cloud9 is already trying to set up early. But TL is trying to preempt this, try to bring Cloud9 up towards this top side with this Rift Herald take.
Well, don't really have much vision, but now they'll move into the area. Licorice going to have to TP, but is going to be spotted there to the left of the screen. TL, though, I think they wanted to fight here. They do get the stun onto Vulcan. Hook lands as well from CoreJJ, and Tactical's able to take him down, but Cord also low. The supports will not be traded off just yet as Licorice haymakers in, but he just can't fight all the carries. Splashes out, though, stays safe as the Graves ulti's not enough, and now Impact gets picked up by the Paddle Star. And everybody has to juke the bubbles now. Nisqy still hunting for the next few kills. Tactical there. CoreJJ not going to be spotted. Nisqy does have a heal now. Goes into stasis to be safe and pops the summoner just to be sure as Licorice fighting Jensen, getting low but not out just yet. Cloud9 able to finally trade, but they will win the extended fight just barely.
And they could just get the dragon. Licorice is going to start it up. He has lifesteal, so he can actually heal up off of this dragon. They get the Rift Herald. Now they're very likely going to be able to grab this dragon. But you need Lee Sin to come down. Blaber, you can't recall now. Broxah could still be out on the map. Both junglers actually don't have Smite, but I really doubt that either one has been tracking or is able to track how many Smite charges there are. I don't think Broxah is even going to try to steal it because of that, except with ultimate, which isn't even available. So there's no point for him to go in. That's going to be an easy third dragon for Cloud9, and they are now at soul point off of a pretty dominant fight over by that Rift Herald. TL decides to kind of bet a lot on that Rift Herald fight instead of waiting for the dragon and looking to fight there, and they lose on both sides. You lost both objectives. You were down in the kills. Cloud9 is now soul point, pretty much caught in gold, and Cloud9 is just showing their resilience, showing how difficult it really is to put this team to bed. They just always are going to be relevant in these scraps where they have such good individual players who are so scrappy.
Ooh, core. That looks very dangerous. Takes the blast gun out to safety and will be okay, covering Jensen, who was splitting bot lane at least temporarily. I don't know what the number is, by the way, but even after just 5 games, including this one, Cloud9's Dragon Soul time take is probably some ridiculous number. Like, I can't I'm trying to remember a Cloud9 game this split where they didn't have all 3 Drakes before 20 minutes.
Yeah,
that's how dominant
it's pretty
they've
rare.
been.
They lose 1 or 2 here and there, but for the most part, they're stacking them often and early. Blaber on really every champion just goes pretty much as soon as it spawns, looks to take it off of mid lane control, off of bot lane control. They are very willing to go for those plays. Blaber did just decide to actually sit on the Ruby Crystal, went towards the Umbral Glaive for more vision control. So with the multiple Ruby Crystals, he is likely now going back towards Black Cleaver. We've seen Licorice rush for the Blade of Rune King. That means he's looking more for that 1v1. The extended fights with the Conqueror and Blade the Rune King against Impact should give him the edge in that 1v1, but it also does mean that you're very squishy come team fight time, so he's got to be really careful about that. If you get gold carded, there is the potential to get burst down. He's not playing Merc Treads. He may have tenacity, with the Legend tenacity, but that and really, no magic resistance, no health being built up means Licorice can get burst down if he's not careful.
And Jensen is very strong still. He's been farming well. 2 items already finished. Rod of Ages is fully stacked. He actually went Lichbane instead of Zhonya's, but I imagine Zhonya's will be coming up next. But still, perfectly serviceable item. Gives a bit of CDR, a bit of move speed. Makes you much better at side laning as well if you get free time on the towers.
And your burst really goes way up. When you have the stack deck, you have that passive E, plus your gold card damage, plus the Lichbane damage, and you can start to really burst some of these members. And it's actually just going to be the Baron start. TL are looking to try to 2-man this with Tactical and CoreJJ. The Rage Blade is complete, and they're just going for a sneak play, but Blaber
found it.
They're moving over, and it's been sniffed out. So CoreJJ has got to get out of there very low already. This is going to mean multiple turrets could go down mid lane, because now you're going to be down a member. Your support is basing. The Rift Herald has been dropped, and Cloud9, sniff out what was, I think, an admirable attempt at a Baron sneak. TL was showing their jungler, showing their mid laner elsewhere, and saying, "Hey, look over here," while they were trying to rush it down with their bot lane. That's a game-winning play if it works, but Cloud9 on top of things, and they sniff it out.
Yeah, I did look for the blue trinkets. There was only one, but Zven, good game sense there, was just able to sniff that one out. Rift Herald charge does happen on the tier 2 as well, so that damage will stick, even though Cloud9 don't take a tower. Licorice, you're in trouble. Ooh, good ulti back. Redemption down as well. Nisqy stole that one off the ground also. Licorice with the Haymaker fully charged up. He's going to get knocked around by Impact's chains, but is the rest of the team here? Here's Blaber looking for the play. Kicks him back into the teammate. But now's the Lantern out. Blaber's going to have to go to safety because Licorice is already dead.
Yeah, Licorice still very squishy. As I was talking about earlier, does get found out, does get burst down. He played it well, delayed as much as possible for his team to get there, but they couldn't quite get there in time. And Blaber committing the kick flash means he's not going to have that big playmaking up to try to knock in someone like Tactical or Jensen come the next team fight. So they have to be pretty wary about that. TL going to be really happy about that. That is kind of their first really successful side lane play, with Jensen and Impact grouping up, looking to punish Licorice, who wants to be having these 1v1s. I talked about it when you go for that Blade of Rune King, and he's even with the dagger going to be building towards Triforce. So really wants to be winning the side lane matchup against Impact, and TF is something you're always going to be having to look out for.
I like that Blaber also checked the Baron, just in case, doesn't want to be caught slipping again. Gets a bit of vision down. That next team fight that you described, though, is going to be coming up quick. 30 seconds until the Ocean Soul and its dragon will be spawning. So we know both teams are going to be in for the scrap here. Cloud9 don't have to fight for it. They will fight for it. Or at least make sure they can.
I mean, this is their win condition, right? This is, you get this, the game is probably over. But remember, Blaber does not have Flash, and that makes his team fight a lot less threatening. They're going to be reliant somewhat on Nisqy trying to land poke, hasn't been able to do it just yet. And now if you try to funnel in here, it could be pretty awkward. So Cloud9 doesn't have great positioning at this point.
Need more vision. Hook not going to connect. CoreJJ eats a little bit of damage, but not too much. He's relatively tanky. Vulcan flash plays into Impact. Miasma down onto Broxah. So they are maybe going to try and chase the jungler here, but flash committed there for Vulcan. They don't get a kill. Vulcan's out of summoners and an ulti now. Nisqy's zoning the rest of the carries. They're going to try and go on to Impact. The hook's going to miss there from Vulcan despite Blaber getting on top of the top laner, but he just takes him out. Jungler with almost a solo kill there as a redemption down from Vulcan is going to keep the rest of them healthy. Nisqy, though, getting low. He's going to be chased by TF. That's an easy pickup there for Jensen as Nisqy will fall. So now it's 4v4 around the dragon, but C9, they're going to rush it. Broxah, he's ready. He's in for the steal. He's not going to get it. Ocean Soul, Cloud9. Hook up onto Broxah as well. Licorice is just tanking the rest of Team Liquid. He'll get one on the end. Broxah is low, cannot rejoin the fight. It's just the two carries now of TL that have to try and make something happen.
Yeah, and C9 is going to continue to chase you down. You got the Swifty boots on Thresh. They can look for these kills.
Good Q there by Blaber. W lands there. Good play as well from Vulcan. Almost clips in max range. Cleanse is way too late for Jensen. And that's going to be an easy kill for Zven as he grounds and takes down the TF.
And Cloud9 may have gotten what they need to win this game at this point. They've got the Ocean Soul. They're pinging towards the bear. And remember, with that Ocean Soul, you're going to be constantly refilling the mana bar there. And it makes Cassiopeia take that much stronger. You have the damage from the injuries. You can just non-stop spam out these Twin Fangs and really rush this down. Broxah is just so low. I don't think he's really in a position to come over here and try to contest this. But TL is moving over. They know they've got to stop it.
Yep, Nisqy in here as well, I believe. Oh no, Licorice actually was the one that TP'd into the pit. Nisqy's also here. He's fending off impact right now. Cloud9 maybe going to try and just fight instead of finishing the Baron, but Blaber will be able to finish it off. So Cloud9, they'll get it all here. Nisqy looking to chase on as Cloud9 also want to win the ensuing team fight because this team is nothing if not greedy, but rightfully so in most cases. But looks like they'll have to back away. TL, I don't think they have something here. Yeah, Blaber's going to bounce back to Licorice and they're out scot-free.
Yep, it was really, really nicely done. And looked like, with the initial positioning, I felt like TL could have had the advantage in this fight. It's the initial flash in, trying to go on Impact. They saw that Impact actually uses dash, and that is what triggers this engagement. They go in, they try to get on top of him. They know that the ultimate is now going to be expiring, and they start to just move over towards him. TL hesitates to actually fully commit with this pincer attack on both sides. And if you're going to be distracted by Nisqy with 3 members, well, the 4 members from Cloud9 can easily pile in on top of Impact and take him down. And yes, there is a nice trade kill up on the top, but look at this. Core had to actually flash in front to block that Q. They have to use the TF ultimate. They have to use the Kaisa ultimate. So that is, flash and 3 ultis to kill off the Zoe. So it all came down to that smite, and that's really the only hope that TL had from that point. After committing so many resources, they weren't going to be able to really win the fight. They had to get that smite. Blaber nailed it. Broxah was not able to take it away. And in the ensuing play, they lose not only the Ocean Soul, they lose the Baron. And we know how damn good Cloud9 is at closing out games once they get the Baron. And generally speaking, it only takes them 1.
Yep, and they're getting a lot of damage done already. Minute and 35 left on the Baron buff, but already up almost 3,000 gold. They'll knock down the mid-tier 2. Top lane Aatrox has already been taken care of it as Licorice delivers the wave down top lane. As Cloud9 look to rotate over, and they'll take that one nice and easily. We'll see if TL can protect an inhibitor tower. That tends to be a win, but like you said, Cloud9 don't take much with their first Baron to finish off the game. So the likelihood of TL defending one of their inhibitors seems low.
Yeah, we'll find out. I mean, the siege isn't the best. It's kind of pretty reliant on poke here from Cloud9. If they can land the poke, they can move forward. But you don't have a lot of long-range auto attackers to actually be able to knock down these towers. So we'll see if they can hang on. And Cloud9 also, I think, has a lot of gold to spend. Licorice has the same items that he did when he actually died top lane. So he has a ton of gold.
Poke doesn't land, but Nisqy's just peppering the poke in, trying to zone off the rest of them. Inhibitor tower's going to break. TL will see if they want to defend the structure past it. Redemption is down. Decent ult there for Broxah for a bit of poke, but Cloud9 will continue again. Between the Redemption and the Ocean Soul, they don't really need to stop their siege. And they'll just let the Baron up cannon minions do the work there. Impact does find a knock up, but Blaber bounces away, and Cloud9 get what they came for. Take the inhibitor and get out.
Yep, going to be able to grab that inhibitor mid lane. There's only one more outer tower standing there for TL down in that bottom side. Cloud9 will reset. We'll see just how much gold they actually have as the synchronized base cancels. They see the TF ultimate going out. They want to make sure no man is left behind to actually get taken down. And it will be Jensen just ulting down to the bot lane, trying to push out waves and delay, because he knows that that next target will be that bot lane tier 2.
Yep, Triforce now for Licorice as well, so even more
lots of gold.
Fighting power. Yeah, he did have a lot of gold, as you mentioned. Transformed a Phage into a full Triforce, so he was sitting on quite a lot. But Cloud9, like you said, just going to work this bottom half of the map, and we'll see what defense TL can muster. The gold lead isn't that significant. It's only 2,000 up, but with how much momentum, with this Dragon Soul that Cloud9 have, with all this room they have to maneuver, I mean, they can threaten the Elder Dragon in a minute 15 if they even need it.
And it's just Ocean Soul is so hard to place value on. You know, it really is worth thousands and thousands of gold, and the longer the fight goes, the better it gets. So it's just increasing in value unless you can really burst someone out completely. You know, if you have an extended fight, poke is just completely meaningless, and that really changes how you have to team fight. You know, no longer can you just be throwing out wild cards and Kaisa W's and trying to poke someone down. You know, using the Graves ultimate for poke is pretty worthless. You know, all these things do kind of change how you've got to actually play out the team fight, and you're never going to run them out of mana, so the poke is never going to kind of stop from Zoe. And it does make it, you know, very beneficial for Cloud9 to just look for trades. You know, they can go forward, trade, even if you trade, you know, 40% of your health for 20% of theirs, it's beneficial because you can just heal that right back up with Ocean Soul.
Ooh, Blaber may be caught here. Good amount of burst, but he's going to hop back towards Vulcan Redemption down again, though. He's going to save the jungler. Ulti not enough from the Graves, and now the poke's going to rattle in. Zven is looking to try and ulti someone down. He already popped Flash and ulti, but Impact, can he find something here? He's going to go Drowsy. That's not the way to start. Hook is going to land. Poke's going to ride in, and that's going to be a pickup at Licorice. He's just going to go for the dunk onto CoreJJ. He goes decent Haymaker there to get some damage down, but he will fall in the back half of that fight. But the poke, it's unrelenting. Like you said, Azael, when the fights don't end, the Ocean means you don't have to stop. Blaber going to feint in and feint out. Great bit of poke there from Nisqy. Finds a snipe onto Tactical, and he's still going. He gets one, gets three! A triple kill out of Nisqy. Popping the cleanse, getting Nimbus cloak speed like you wouldn't believe. And Cloud9 are going to bust through bottom as well. In fact, they're TPing top. I think it's time to end the game.
Yeah, they just want to end it right here, right now. Nisqy and Jensen were exchanging words before the game. Who's the better laner now? Nisqy is looking to prove that with plays like those, really taking over in the final moments here as Cloud9 look like they're going to push through and win.
Yep, Nisqy going to say, my team's better, but I'm better too. Jensen going to be dove in his own fountain as Vulcan plucks him out of the air. That's going to be the bot lane ace to finish off another win for Cloud9. Now 5-0 as they take down Team Liquid.
Another really good game here from Cloud9, but you've also got to give credit over to Team Liquid, who I think pushed Cloud9, you know, more than anyone else really has been able to. But again, it was about the objectives. It was about, you know, the playmaking from Cloud9, able to constantly secure these neutral objectives. You know, getting multiple Rift Heralds, getting all of the dragons to actually stack those up for the Ocean Soul, and it kind of came down to that smite fight between Blaber and Broxah. So really close game, really exciting game. Cloud9 chose us a different look with this mage in the bottom lane. It wasn't as dominant, but still, they're able to close out the game fairly quickly.
All right, well, when we return, we'll hear from Riv and Zven in the Verizon post-game interview, so don't go too far.